So now y'all come into my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi everybody, welcome to Cooking Today. I'm glad you're here. Happy Wednesday. Y'all, it's almost Thanksgiving. Are you so excited? I love the Thanksgiving holiday so much. We just love to eat. I mean, it's the feasting holiday, isn't it? And let me tell you, the Hannon family can throw down on some holiday food. I have married into a family of women who totally know how to cook. I've got two sisters-in-law who are great cooks, and we have big Hannon husbands. And you know what we do? We make ungodly amounts of food for the holiday season. And here's what happens every year. Every year we say this. No, this year, let's not make as much. We say it every year. It starts in about October. No, not this year. We just don't need those mashed potatoes because it's just so much. And then we'll say, no, let's just back off. Let's not make as many desserts. And you know what happens? We roll in every year. It takes 4 trips from the car. It covers every surface. I have to bring in lifetime tables, you know, those pop-up white plastics, throw a quilt on them, because the overflow of food at the Hannon family Thanksgiving is epic. And today, I am making my 2 sisters-in-law, probably their most iconic thing that they bring. Oh yes, we bring multiple things. But these are probably the 2 that I would probably associate the most with my sister-in-law Lori and my sister-in-law Nancy. And they are Lori's sweet potato souffle with a yummy praline crumble topping, and Aunt Nancy's jalapeno corn casserole. Are y'all so excited? And you know what they both are? What's so great about them? They're carbs. There's nothing green. We're not doing anything green today. Nothing healthy. It is Thanksgiving and we don't even care, do we? So I have a lot of prep that I've already done in advance. What we need to get going first is Aunt Nancy's jalapeno corn casserole. And I have a little bit of butter on the stove right here. We're going to let that melt down. And then what I have, and this is why we're going to work on this one first before we work on our sweet potatoes, we have the Thanksgiving duo of all duos, celery and onions. So when you put butter, celery, and onions in a skillet and you saute it down for anything, if it's March, my kids will walk in and they'll say, oh, it smells like Thanksgiving because this. Also, butter, celery, and onions start off a pretty great dressing recipe too that we did last year. So we have our butter. We're going to get it going. We're going to let these start sauteing and let them kind of get tender while we start on our sweet potatoes. So put those in and put those in. And I would say I like to let those go pretty long. We don't want to get our onions to be caramelized, so I've got it on some pretty low heat, but we do want them to be really, really tender because we don't want a crunchy bite of celery. We want a nice kind of tender, firmish, maybe kind of al dente, which is totally a pasta term and not a celery term, but we don't want it to be crunchy raw, nice and tender. So we're going to let those go, okay? Also going over here, we've got boiling. I've got a pot of water that I'm bringing to boil because this corn casserole actually has a cup of rice, just white rice in it, okay? And I'm just going to do a quick rice, like a 5-minute rice, like boil in the bag, that kind of thing. Super simple. We only need about a cup altogether, and so we're letting our water boil and get going so that we can throw that together shortly. So the basics of our jalapeno corn casserole are in the works, and then let's start on our sweet potatoes. This is my sister-in-law Lori's recipe. It is actually in my cookbook that just came out on November 14th. You can get it anywhere cookbooks are sold. You can get them at Unimaze as well, and if I'm in there, I'm signing them, so that's kind of fun too. And these 2 recipes are in the cookbook, along with a lot of other really good Southern Comfort recipes, gang. Okay, so I have boiled some sweet potatoes. For the sake of today, I'm going to cut the recipe in half, which would be considered probably sinful at Hannon Family Thanksgiving because we eat the entire pan of this. So what I'm showing you today is a half a recipe, But the recipe that I'm going to post on our website and the recipe that's in my cookbook, it is for a full, deep 9x13 casserole dish that serves, you know, tons of people. This one, we're just going to do a cute little half recipe. So I have cut the ends off of some sweet potatoes, peeled them, and then cubed them so that they're kind of uniform in shape. And then I just threw them in some hot water and let them boil until they're really, really nice and tender. And then while they're hot, we're going to throw in some butter. Does this get you so excited? Y'all, sweet potatoes and butter. It's the season. It's the season. And I'm taking my masher, and I'm going to just, what I'm going to do, my butter's soft. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of tuck it underneath those hot sweet potatoes in it. And I'm just going to let it camp out here for a second, and the heat from the sweet potatoes are going to get that nice and soft. And then I'm going to start mashing. When we come back, we're going to mash in the greatest flavors, put it in a pretty dish and bake it, and then we're going to work on our corn casserole. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. We are fixing my very favorite side items. These are my two sisters-in-law. They're very, very, very best, most iconic family favorite side items that we have had for 20 years or so. You know those. You can probably go through your family members and say, you know, Auntie Ann always brought a broccoli, cheese, and rice casserole. That's true at Unimay's holiday. Of course, Unimay had all of her signatures. My mother always had her signatures. And this one is my sister-in-law Lori's sweet potato souffle with a buttery praline topping. It's so sweet potatoey and smooth because we're spending some time making this so rich and creamy on the inside and smooth. And then we top it with this buttery, nutty, crunchy, really sweet topping. So every little spoonful, you get this little earthy sweet potato bite that's smooth with some crunch. We literally, I often will save this until the end because I like it almost as dessert. It is just that good. So I have our sweet potatoes that we boiled, and I've thrown some butter in there and let that just kind of melt down on my little potatoes that were cooked and cubed. And now I've just taken my masher and mashed and stirred and mashed and stirred. We're going to add some of our good flavors in here in just a second. Now on our stove, we have the onions and celery and butter getting nice and cooked and tender for our corn casserole that we're going to do after we finish our sweet potatoes. Both of these bake about the same time and temperature, which is kind of nice when you're planning your holidays. Take into consideration your oven space and your bake times and your temperatures. Often, I will actually make a chart and say, and I even lay out my pans. This is the pan I'm using for this, and I write a little sticky note in it and I put them in my pans. And then I come up with the bake times and the bake temperatures, and I see what's gonna work. And if something bakes too long and it's gonna dominate my oven, then sometimes I'll hack it or I'll figure out a way to do it on the stovetop instead. Or I'll make it in advance and then just do a slow reheat. Something like that, but that will help you on your holidays. Just have some sanity and some planning and make sure that you're really efficient and that everything gets done at the same time. Isn't that the biggest woe of all when you cannot figure out how to get it all done at once? Plan, plan, plan. So both of these cook at like 325, 350 for 35 minutes or so, maybe 40 minutes. Perfect, and they'll both fit in your oven. Makes for a happy host, doesn't it? Okay, we have thrown into our mashed and buttered sweet potatoes some sugar, some eggs, and the eggs make it kind of soupy and delicious. And then we're going to throw in some vanilla. I love the vanilla. I always tend to go a little heavy. Gosh, it's just every day, every time on the show. I get a little whiff, don't I? It's my fave. And you know, we make this vanilla at Unimay's, so I'm even more proud of it because it's something we make from scratch. Then I've got a little bit of cinnamon, maybe about a half a teaspoon in this one. Of course, I'm halving the recipe. Don't forget that. So don't do what I do. Do as I say on the blog. Does that make sense? Sorry. I hope that doesn't throw y'all for a loop. And then just a little bit of salt, because salt always helps all things sweet. Okay, so now that I have actually made this kind of soupy and delicious, ooh, these are really going. Let me give them a little stir. Okay. I'll turn those down just the littlest. Okay, so now that I've got that in there and it's creamy and smooth, and we've added in our eggs and our vanilla, it really gets thin, and it's just divine, y'all. That smell right there, oh my word. Okay. Oh, I slopped. Did you see it? Did you see it fly? Oh, just kidding, I didn't. The cameraman said that they didn't see it, so I probably shouldn't have confessed it. I figure we're all slopping in the kitchen, aren't we? Okay, now I have my little casserole dish. Again, reminder, reminder, reminder. The recipe is actually gonna make a 9 by 13. I am just doing a small one for today, okay? So I'm just pouring this whole, oh look, it looks like baby food, like the best baby food in the world. Delicious, delicious. I call this a souffle, and I know technically it's not officially a souffle, but because it's got the eggs in it, I kind of think it has a little nod to a souffle, so that's why I call it that. And I think souffle is just a pretty word, and I got to name it whatever I wanted, so there you go. Now, we're smearing this in, spreading it out nice and smooth and pretty, and then, watch this, oh wait. The butter, the cinnamon, good cinnamon. If you can get your hands on Vietnamese cinnamon, find it, spend your money on it. The vanilla, incredible. All I'm gonna do, this is easy, y'all. We've made a crumb topping before. I have brown sugar, soft butter, a little flour, and some pecan chips. I'm gonna just fork together a little crumb and put it right on top before I put it in the oven. I'm gonna work on that. When we come back, we'll stick it in the oven and we'll get to town on our corn. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome back. It's almost Thanksgiving, and so today I'm making both of my sisters-in-law's very best side items. So we have our sweet potato souffle that is delicious and buttery and creamy on the inside. It's almost soupy until it bakes because of the eggs. They kind of help set it. It is just decadent and rich and sweet and divine. Then we're making our jalapeno corn casserole, and we're just about to start that while we wrap up our sweet potatoes. So we've creamed these, got them really nice and smooth. We've added in all of our flavors, and then I've mixed together that simple crumb topping we talked about right before the break. I used a fork and a knife and just kind of cut it in. And then I am loading this right on the top. Y'all, I'm gonna be completely honest, this crumb is so good that just alone, the crumb alone, you need to pull that out and put it on its own recipe card because it's delicious on top of pies, it's delicious on top of bars, anything else that could possibly need a sweet crumb topping, you can totally use this. It's just that good. So I'm kind of clumping it a little bit. I really like to see the orange underneath it. I don't want to cover it completely like rim to rim. There's going to be plenty of crumb on it, so you're gonna, you're not going to be shortchanged on your bites. But I do like to see a little bit of the orange, so I kind of leave a little bit of the edge showing so that it's really pretty when we set it on the table. And then this covers and bakes in the oven 325, 350. You can kind of adjust it depending on how much time that you need. We're going to cover it and let it bake 30 minutes or so, 35 minutes. And then we'll uncover it and let it finish baking off about 10 minutes or so that the crumb on the top gets really, really delicious. So this is going in, okay? And then we have our corn casserole. I'm just going to do it. Y'all, butter and brown sugar and nuts. Sorry, I know I'm like eating. I'm so excited, y'all. Favorite holiday, Favorite, I mean, anytime we get together with family and feast, that is totally my song and dance. I love it. Okay, ready? We have tender onions and celery in butter. We have a little bit of Velveeta. I know it's processed, but it is God's gift to the world. There's nothing like it in the real cheese family, and you just need to get it and then get over it. It is goodness. And this casserole would not be the same if you tried to substitute it. It just wouldn't. So you'll be just fine. Eat it and enjoy it and love it. You will love this. Okay, so I've put in a little bit, about a half a pound, I believe, of Velveeta. We're going to kind of stir that around and break it up until it is melted. I'm going to turn my heat up just the littlest. And then we have our rice. Remember, we were cooking our quick rice, and it's finished. And I have just a cup of white rice hanging out, ready to be used. Oh my goodness, it smells good. Even in the break, the guys were saying it smells really good in here, like Thanksgiving. It's what we love. Okay, so we're gonna let this get melted down. Then, this is super simple, gang. We have 2 cans of creamed corn. You can also, let's see, this is about a 15-ounce can. They also make corn that is frozen, like in a little tube of creamed corn. That's really good too. This is really, really quick and really easy. So you can use either one, but you need about 15 ounces of creamed corn. In this can, actually you need about 30 ounces of creamed corn. You need 2 cans, okay? So we're gonna throw in 1 can of creamed corn, a 2nd can of creamed corn, and then just to give it some texture so that it's not all creamed corn, which we love that, don't we? It's sweet and good. We are going to throw in 1 regular can of just whole kernel corn, just to give it a little bit of bite. You know, we want it to have a little toothiness to it, not just be mush. And that corn does the trick. Okay. So now we have this really sweet, sweet corn. And it's a little cheesy, and it's got our yummy little cooked down vegetables. But we want to add a little more sweet, so we're adding a little bit of sugar to the mix. Okay. And then for the good stuff, the jalapenos. You can absolutely crank up the heat in these jalapenos, in this dish, if you want to, by adding more jalapenos. That's completely up to you. You can do whatever you would like. My sister-in-law Nance, she does it pretty good. She gets it going. So we start by adding a couple of tablespoons of just the juice, and then stirring in as many jalapenos as you want, just the rings. I usually do 10 or 12 and chop them up, easy as that. So all I'm gonna do, y'all, is chop these jalapenos, stir them in, stir in that rice that's just sitting right here. Look, actually I'll just do it right now. Stir in our rice, chop our jalapenos, add it in, bake it in the oven right next to our sweet potato souffle for the same amount of bake time, and we're gonna pull them both out at the end. They are just the best. A little sweet and buttery, a little cheesy and peppery and spicy, just the best. Come back, we're gonna have our best Thanksgiving sides when we come back. This is Cooking Today. Welcome back. We are having Thanksgiving. This is it. It's coming up, and I'm so excited. I know a lot of you are already starting your menu planning and your cooking, and I'm getting really excited. I hope that it is just such a great time for you. Today, I wanted to share with you 2 of my family's signature dishes. One is my sister-in-law Lori's sweet potato souffle with this buttery praline crumb topping. It is so tender and delicious and sweet on the inside, and then there's that little crunch on the top. Practically dessert. We just covered that and baked it in the oven and then pulled the foil off and let it just finish off. And then Aunt Nance's jalapeno corn casserole. It has a little Velveeta, and we have yummy sauteed vegetables on the inside, little celery and onion, and then corn, and it's creamy and it's jalapeno-y because we've put in some juice and we put in some jalapenos. The beautiful thing about both of these dishes, they can both be made the night before cooking them. You can completely stir up your corn casserole, cover it, refrigerate it till it's time to bake it the next day. You can totally make your sweet potatoes in its dish, make the crumb in its own dish, and then just top it with the crumb before you bake it. So you can get your prep done in advance, and you end up with two decadent, delicious Hannon family recipes on your Thanksgiving table. I'm going to throw a little green cilantro for pretty on top of our corn, and we're going to eat up. Hope you're enjoying your holiday prep. This is Cooking Today.